I'd like to invite the four panelists, so Kun Hock Young, Siu Il Seo, Daniel Lai, and Dr. Sak, please take the stand. Yeah, so, okay. Now, we have a very limited amount of time because we do need to finish by about 10 to. And as you can see, just hidden behind, we have a few prizes to give out, well, a prize to give out at the end as well. So just to encourage you to stay to the end. So the way we're going to structure this is I'm going to ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves and the status of cloud computing within their industry. Within their country, sorry, and then we'll wrap up with some general questions. So what I'd like to do is to kick off if Kun Hock Young, if you could introduce yourself, and that's it. So share the speakers, and the way we're structuring it is the presentation. Some of the members here, some of the panelists actually have a presentation. It'll appear over there. So apologies for the people over on the right here. So over to you.
Okay, I'm literally between you and the prizes. Okay, anyway, my name is Kung. I work in IDA. My responsibilities for infrastructure as well as for next generation services. So one of the things I do is I have been responsible for the deployment of the next generation broadband network, plus wireless SG, plus data center parks, and of course cloud computing comes under my responsibility. And increasingly, one of my responsibilities is to move on and develop what I would literally call Smart Cities 2.0 for Singapore. So in the area of cloud, if you can bring up the slide. We engaged a company by name of AMI Partners to survey. And can you go to the next slide, please? Oh, I have to click myself.
Sorry.
Okay. Hey, it works, but oh no, it's like this. Okay. What is important is maybe the last two lines in that little box. And that shows the various adoption characteristics of different cloud service models across, as you can see, different market segments. The small businesses with 1 to 49 employees, medium-sized businesses with 50 up to 249 employees, and then large businesses beyond 250 employees. What you can see from that is that obviously the small businesses and the medium-sized businesses has been gravitating quite significantly as far as adoption of use of internet, as well as pretty reasonable adoption of software as a service, and that the large businesses have, of course, been much more active in adopting infrastructure as a service. And I think throughout this entire seminar, I'm sure you have many heard of many reasons why, for some of the smaller companies, they tend to be able to move on to the software service much easier. Reasons including they may need less customized requirements, they don't have the IT team to help them, so that's a natural choice. Whereas for the larger companies, they have a lot of customized agreements, maybe different types of workflows, different database requirements, and so infrastructure as a service seems like something that they can build on and start dipping their hands into cloud computing. This shows the growth of what was the survey company informed us about market adoption. And the blue line is the software as a service, and the red bar, as you see, is the infrastructure as a service. And you can see that, of course, comparatively speaking, software as a service remains faster in terms of adoption. So the outlook is that software as a service for all companies of all sizes in Singapore anticipated that it will grow to about 33%. That means 1/3 of all Singapore companies are likely to have deployed software service within their business. And for the larger companies, taking a much more slower beat, because we do have a lot more small companies compared to large companies, and so as a result, it's 2.6%. But you can see the compound annual growth rates for software service is about 18.9%, and for the infrastructure service about 21.3%. So about 20% type of growth rates. We also did a study on what the adoption is like across different parts of ASEAN, and you can see that as far as internet penetration and software service, there is a little bit of a correlation between the two, and Singapore is fortunate in that we have a much higher internet penetration, and so a lot more companies adopting software as a service. And on a global scale, you can see some of the other places like US, Germany, UK, Australia, Japan, taking a very strong lead as far as cloud adoption is concerned. One of the things that perhaps also helped us to move forward is that we started quite young in the area of cloud computing. We started with something called grid computing. That was towards the beginning of the year of 2000, 2001, and then it was used a lot more in the academic world at that point in time, sharing resources. And about 2006 and 2007, we decided to take whatever we have learned from that and move it into industry. And so at that point in time, cloud became the fashion and grid became cloud, so to speak. So we issued a call for collaboration for cloud resource provisioning in November of 2008, and that helped catalyze the development of 3 service providers initially to start offering both compute as well as storage resources that help catalyze it. Now we're over 10 service providers with different people, including Amazon Web Services as well as from Japan, NEC. So many companies now providing such services. And to date, Singapore hosts more than 10 cloud data centers, as I mentioned, that serves both domestic as well as the Asia-Pacific market. What about for the government? I mean, some of the things that we want to do is encourage more government agencies within Singapore to adopt cloud computing, and one of the impediments, of course, the administrative process of buying. And so we put in place what we call cloud services bulk tender. Envision is basically video streaming, but charged at a utility basis. You know, if nobody watches the video, you pay nothing. But if they watch the video, you just pay for the amount of bytes that's being sent over and streamed, so that enable more ministries and schools to start using video streaming on a utility basis. We also allow various government agencies to procure cloud services from a panel of pre-qualified service providers, so makes the procurement a lot easier. And you can see there has been a good number of agencies wetting their feet and getting themselves involved. Of course, moving forward, as in many other surveys, we have noticed that we reach a certain level, and the big impediment is cloud security. So we've put a bit more effort in putting together certain guidelines and standards on cloud security, and hence best practices server utilization, guidelines for usage of public cloud services, and lately, as was announced this morning, that by August of this year, we are likely to have established a multi-tier cloud security standard. And that's all.
Great, thank you so much. So if Seong-Yeol, if you could now present, and I just request if you could keep it to 5 minutes, because we only have 15 minutes left, so please. And the flicker here, and if you could set up the next presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Seong-Yeol, Director in charge of ICT Division, Ministry of Science, ICT, and Future Planning of Korea. I'm happy to meet you today. Let me give you a brief introduction about cloud computing policy in Korea. Currently, Korea is implementing diverse government policies to promote early maturation of domestic cloud computing industry. So these activities are based on the cloud computing promotion plan established in 2009 to become one of the top 5 players in global cloud industry is the vision of the cloud computing promotion plan. To achieve these visions, we have set 3 goals. First, promotion of economy with a global cloud service. Second, advancement and efficiency of IT infrastructure. Lastly, safe and interested user environment setup. Next slide is related to cloud computing industry. In views of industries, Korea has 5 agendas according to the cloud computing promotion plans. They are: first is to improve technology competence. Second, strengthen global competitiveness of cloud computing. Third, proactively adopt cloud computing in public area. Fourth, to set up global cloud computing data centers. And last, to activate cloud computing market. This slide is cases in Korean of cloud computing. First one is POSCO. POSCO, as you know, one of Korea's top-tier companies, has converted its R&D centers' data management patterns. They used to have small group systems and workstation into the integrated cloud computing system. 2 years after this conversion, POSCO achieved 50% reduction of R&D cost and 40% increase in the speed of individual research works. I'll skip this slide because we don't have enough time. And now I want to give a major project related to cloud computing in Korea. First one is a global cloud data center cluster. As I mentioned before, Korea is nurturing cloud data center cluster as one of the cloud computing agendas. Global cloud data center cluster project is a collaboration work between the central government, my Minister of ICT Science Training, and the local government, the Busan Metropolitan City, target to make the Busan Metropolitan City as the best data hub in Asia Pacific area. Next project is Cloud Expo Korea 2013. I think you can see the brochure in the front of the door. Also, my minister and Busan City is co-sponsoring the Cloud Expo Korea 2013 in Busan, Mexico, from June 27th to 29th this year. It's the first time in its kind in Korea. Thus, the Korean government is actively supporting the introduction of cloud computing to the public and private enterprise, including multinational corporations and small and medium enterprises. However, there are some obstacles in adoption of cloud computing environment in Korea. First of all, it is related to Korean culture. Many Koreans are likely to have a possession of some things. IT resources, including data, storage, and computer, are also assets for Koreans to have a strong desire for ownership of cars, houses, and other physical property. This culture prevents cloud computing from implementing on a large scale in Korea. Second is the security methods, as you know. Even though cloud computing service providers give many tools of protecting users' computing, Koreans have a mind of cloud computing environment would not be safe for protecting their data, etc. Nevertheless, Korean government is trying to encouraging the adoption of cloud computing through making law or decrees. I think many public sectors and small and medium enterprise are to implement Korean cloud computing not too far. Thanks.
That's it.
Below that, is my email address. If you have questions about Korean cloud enterprise or comprehensive IT policy, could you give me your questions to my email? I'll send answers kindly with my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Daniel, if we could get Daniel's presentation up, please.
Right. My name is Daniel Lai. I'm the Government Chief Information Officer of the Hong Kong SAR. I'd like to reiterate that Hong Kong is not a country. It is a special administrative region of the People's Republic of China. Although it's an independent economy, that's why Hong Kong tends to be compared to a lot of other economy and country. As I already have made a presentation on the Hong Kong situation, I will keep it fairly short. But my responsibility is to look after all ICT within the government, advising government on IT services and strategy, and also facilitating the ICT industry as a whole, and also facilitating ICT literacy and adoption within the community. So I'm also spearheading a lot of digital inclusion program. What I'd like to share with you is an actual survey which was carried out by the Hong Kong Portuguese Council at the end of last year to look at cloud adoption in Hong Kong. In terms of industry, it indicates that 27% of retail and wholesale are using cloud, and also 30% of distribution industry using cloud. In terms of company size, large enterprise, it's a company about 300 employees, 53%, and SME, small medium enterprise, 47%. And in terms of their location, majority, 73% is based in Hong Kong, while 17.8% are based in mainland China and 9% based overseas. The question thrown to the respondents whether they are using cloud. In fact, 33% responded yes. And a year ago, 12 months ago, it was 27. So the increase is 20.9%, very similar to Singapore, the 20% increase. And we will see this continue to do so. In terms of the expected benefits that we asked the respondents, top of the list is reduced initial investment and capex on IT, 58%, followed by there's no need to worry about IT maintenance of upgrades because a lot of organizations face with a lot of work and resources needed to look after IT support and maintenance. Third is elastic capacity, and some of respondents stress that it's not only scalability and expandability, it's elasticity. It can be grow big and then spring back. Fourth, it's faster time to market and pay as you go. So these are the top 5 expected benefits. In terms of reason for not using cloud application, the top of the list is concerns about security, on data protection, data integrity, and data ownership. Second is the uncertainty about what cloud solutions are available on the market. So there are not enough information given to those using cloud in terms of what solutions are available. Third is uncertainty about how to choose the right cloud solutions. And then lack of skills for using cloud or related IT application. A lot of SMEs in Hong Kong, they are in fact very small enterprises that employ less than 20 individuals. So we cannot expect that their IT have enough IT skill or knowledge to choose application. And the fifth is unfamiliar with cloud concepts and technique and technologies. In terms of applications, we asked them what are they using. What are the application on cloud? Top of the list is office automation, followed by collaboration software, document management, enterprise, resource planning, and data backup, and then customer relation management, business process, and so on. For the government, we actually have been using public cloud service for collaboration software and also on unified communication. And one university in Hong Kong, actually, they just recently switched all their email system to a cloud platform using a public cloud service. We also asked them what are their applications currently on desktop, billing and accounts payable, of OA, document management, human resource, and some collaboration software. And we also asked what are the applications they want to put on cloud. OA come first, followed by enterprise resource planning, data backup, customer relation management, collaboration software, and document management. So we try to map what is currently on cloud, looking at the opportunity. So there are ample opportunity for some of this application to be moved from the desktop to be on cloud. And we also look at the differences between all industry and particularly looking at retail, wholesale, and distribution, which the top 5 are similar, although the ranking and priority seems to differ. With that, I think I'll leave time for further discussion.
Thank you. And finally, Dr. Sak.
Okay, I don't have presentation. I will be quick. Okay, my name is Sak Sekutot. I'm the director of EGA, which stands for E-Government Agency of Thailand. We are under Ministry of ICT of Thailand. One of the mandates of EGA is to provide IT services to government agencies. Unlike other countries, what we are doing is that provide services like network service or cloud computing service to agencies free of charge. It's different from what Singapore is doing. And in terms of the cloud computing in Thailand, fortunately, MICT just did a survey this year that show you the status of cloud adoption in Thailand. Although this report is not officially released, I can give you a sneak preview. We survey almost 400 cloud providers, and we found that SAS providers, we have around 283 providers, and we don't have any PAS providers yet, just like Singapore. And for IaaS, there are around 59 providers. And in terms of adoption rate, we survey on over 300 companies, and they say 83% of these 300 companies say they are using cloud right now. And in terms of the whole country, the adoption rate is around 32% in 2011. Maybe you know that there's a big flood in Thailand, so everybody wants to go to the cloud. Last year, the adoption rate is around 31%. So, in my opinion, for Thailand, okay, the adoption of cloud computing actually started last year. Maybe the fact that EGA launched G Cloud last year, and what we have done is that we instead of creating cloud service by ourselves, we actually outsource services to cloud providers in Thailand. And in doing that, we actually manage them. We actually try to have some sort of standard between cloud providers in Thailand. As of today, I think we have more than 300 applications from more than 100 agencies that use our G Cloud. And next month, we're going to launch government software as a service. And what we're trying to do here is that instead of building everything by ourselves, we're going to invite private sector software houses to come to develop services for the government. We're going to have some sort of matchmaker between supply and demand. And it's the first time in history of Thailand that agency that wants to request a budget from the budget bureau, they would have to state their demand to EGA first. For example, if they want to buy a server for their, I don't know, for their applications next year, they would have to inform us first whether we can support them or not. If we can, there's no need for them to set up the budget.
Interesting.
Yes, and next year it would extend to applications too, if the government software as service is working well. And by the end of this year, we are planning to launch government app store, Apple App Store too. But what we are facing is that not all agencies are okay with this. Some agencies still have their own agenda. They still want to do by themselves. So what we have to do, we have to convince them that instead of doing your own, why don't you go to G Cloud, where we have better security, better implementation, and we have more professional people to look after IT system. Because for Thailand, we have around 400 agencies. I would say maybe 20% of them are doing okay because they have enough people, they have enough budget. But the 80% are still struggling with, keep up with running their own IT systems. So for Thailand, we expect that next year would be, I would say, the cloud computing would play an important role in the IT scene for the country. This year, we had a CSA conference in Thailand. Myself is a chairman of CSA chapter Thailand, and we attracted more than 7 delegates who came to the conference. And I believe that there are going to be more conference regarding cloud in Thailand. I think in June or July, something like that. So it shows you that it's very, very exciting now in Thailand that cloud computing is coming to make a difference. In terms of why some of the agencies do not want to go to the cloud, number one priority is the infrastructure. It's not good enough for some areas. So that is what we have to improve on that. Of course, the security is the second reason why they are still reluctant whether to go on the cloud or not. And in terms of what kind of applications that we are putting on the cloud, surprisingly, is the front end, the back office of their system they put on the cloud. Mind you, in Thailand we have around maybe 20 or 30 big critical systems. These systems are, required to run. You can't let this system down. So we have to make sure that when these critical systems go on the cloud, we have to make sure the transition is smooth. That's a big challenge for EGA. At the moment, we are working with one department which holds a large database of the citizen. So it's quite a challenge for us. And okay, I think that's all for Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we're running close to the end of time. So from the audience, do we have any questions? Speak now. Oh, we have one in the back there.
So over the course of the day, sorry, my name's Greg Levesky from MOH Holdings. Over the course of the day, on a number of occasions, security's cropped up as possibly the number one, or in the case of the last speaker, number two reason for inhibition for adoption of cloud services. When I asked the question earlier this morning, the answer that I was giving was, well, obviously you need to carry out an audit and risk assessment of what the cloud service providers provide and their security. But I think that the realities are that it's actually a lot more difficult to carry out a risk audit, and I was wondering whether or not the panel could maybe advise on what the directions that need to be taken in order for security to become less the number one issue.
So any of the panelists jump in? How can we remove security from being a problem? Just please jump in.
For Thailand's case, okay, as I said that we are not EGA are not actually building our own cloud. Instead, we rent services from cloud providers. In doing so, we have to specify some security standard for them. For example, the data center has to comply maybe ISO 27001, something like that at least. And we are doing the CSA cloud control right now. So it's a next step to make sure that when, for my case, government agency, they want to use our G cloud services, they would would naturally ask me, how secure is your G cloud? If I say, okay, it's very secure, it doesn't make anything. You say, okay, G cloud is complied by G standard, something like that. I think it's the first to create, to make them convinced that you want to go to G cloud, it's secure enough.
For us, I think tackling security with cloud is no different than tackling security in any computing environment. We have to look at the risks and the threats, and also the awareness of the users, and come up with appropriate risk mitigation measures to address those threats. So it's a matter of educating the users and the service provider. And of course, they are already, in terms of certain industry, like banking and finance, there are also compliance that they need to comply. But for general using the public cloud environment, for us, we are doing a lot of awareness training through seminars, training to educate the end user what they need to be concerned with.
I guess for my view, it's a question of promoting what we call trust through transparency. If you think of the hardware world, you tend to have better faith that things work the way you expect and the way it's been described, because things can plug and play. That's why standards work. A plug is of this size, of this dimension. It's not a little bit different from one plug to another. So same thing when we talk about cloud computing. It's very complicated. I mean, to an outsider, when you tell them that it meets a certain requirement, like where your data is stored and whether you have ability to wipe out the data on per instruction. There's always this discussion. You say yes, but for footnotes with a lot of fine print, and it confuses the hell out of the user. So if you can sort of establish a common terminology, when we say this, you understand this. When we say that it does this, it is verified to do this. I think it then removes a great deal of at least some of the basic issues off the table. If we don't have certain standards, then almost everything has to be done from scratch. You have to hire consultants to look through every single aspect. And that's one of our motivations for setting up a multi-tier cloud computing standard, is to establish what is the terminology. When you say this, A, do everybody understand what is A? Can you verify it's A? And that, so maybe in a whole list of checklists of 100 items, you have to have confidence that the cloud security standards meet your requirements. Maybe 60 to 70 items of that 100 item checklist can be ticked off because you understand exactly what is has been verified. Then you concentrate on the 30 or 40 items that maybe you want to spend a bit more attention on. And I think that helps. And over time, if there's more and more understanding of, basic understanding, expectation, then I think the cloud security standards will be off the agenda. It remains an agenda because nobody understands each other.
So unfortunately, we're drawing to the end of our time here. I'd just like to add, I think that we need to look at the vertical that we're talking about, because every business is different. I think especially in a lot of government-led initiatives, security has been critical. While for a lot of web service providers, it's very easy. If you're a startup and you have no legacy infrastructure, then on the cloud is the obvious choice. And the math is there. 5 to 7 times cheaper to be running in a large cloud than to be running in your own enterprise. The problem is, for the vast majority of enterprises, they have legacy infrastructure. That makes it far more complex, and I almost look at the security issue for those situations as an excuse. When in a lot of cases, it's the clarity of the business model. in making those first 2 or 3 steps in moving some of the workloads off into the cloud. So again, I think it's very much we need to look at the different verticals rather than just treating it as generically there's a security problem. I think in a lot of cases there isn't. It's just used as an easy excuse for the problem. There isn't clarity around the business case. But anyway, that's just wanted to add in a little bit more richness around that discussion. What I would like to do is to express our thanks to the panelists for providing great insight into their countries and for a great discussion. Thank you so much.